What if I told you that right now, as you sit, stand, or walk around your home, your bones are quietly taking notes, not just your muscles, not just your joints, your bones. They're not frozen, lifeless sticks holding you up. They're living, sensing tissues that are literally responding to every step you take and every hour you spend sitting still. They are changing right now in response to the way you move or don't move. Now here's the part almost nobody says clearly. After 50, your bones don't just slowly wear out. They either adapt or they erode. And whether they adapt for you or against you depends on the signals you send them every day. You've probably heard all the usual advice. Take calcium, get your vitamin D, and of course, go for a walk. Walking is fantastic. I'll never tell you to stop walking. It's good for your heart, your mood, your brain, your joints. But if you've been wondering why your DEXA scan is getting worse, or why your doctor mentioned osteopenia or osteoporosis even though you walk every day, or why your posture feels more hunched and your back more fragile, then you're about to hear a truth that can change the trajectory of your bones for the next 10, 20, even 30 years. Walking alone is not enough to build stronger bones after 50. It helps you maintain. It helps you not lose as fast. But if you want to rebuild, reinforce, and protect your bones, especially in your hips and spine, your body is quietly asking for something different. Let's unpack that together, slowly and clearly, so it really sinks in. Your bones are not done yet. Most of us were taught that bone is like concrete. It hardens when you're young, then slowly crumbles with age. But biologically, that's just not true. Inside your skeleton, there is a team of workers on duty 24/7. Some of them are demolition crews. Others are construction crews. The demolition crew breaks down old or damaged bone. The construction crew lays down new bone. Even in your 60 seconds, 70 seconds, or 80 seconds, this process is still happening. Your bones are not finished. They are constantly being remodeled, strengthened in some places, thinned in others depending on what your body thinks you need. Imagine your skeleton as a wise but very literal builder. It watches how you move and says, "We're lifting things? Okay, reinforce here. We're taking impact through the hips? Thicken this area. We're hardly loading the spine? Maybe we don't need as much structure here." That's the part that can be scary and incredibly empowering. Because if bone loss were purely about age, there would be very little we could do. But if bone is responding to load, tension, and movement, then you have leverage. You have influence. Not total control. Hormones and genetics still matter, but a lot more influence than most people realize. The astronaut problem and why it matters to you. Let's think about space for a moment. Astronauts are some of the fittest people on Earth. They're screened, trained, monitored. But when they go up into zero gravity for a few months, something dramatic happens. They can lose up to 20% of their bone density in key areas. Their muscles shrink, their bones thin, their bodies start behaving like much older versions of themselves, not because of age, but because of one thing. There's no gravity constantly pulling on their bones. No load, no stress, no reason for the skeleton to stay strong. When they come back to Earth, they go through structured rehab, resistance training, impact, carefully controlled loading to tell the bones, "You're needed again. Build back." Now, what does that have to do with you, living right here on Earth? Think about how much of a typical day can slip by in sitting or gentle, unloaded positions. In the car, at the computer, on the couch, at the table. If the only forces your bones feel most of the day are soft, low-level pressures, a little walking around the house, a casual stroll, your skeleton gets a similar message. Nothing intense is happening here. We don't need deep reinforcement. We can get by with less. You're not in space, but in a way, your bones are experiencing micro-low gravity if you rarely challenge them. The good news? You don't need to go to a gym or jump like an astronaut to change that message. You just need to give your bones the right kind of stress. Walking, helpful, but not the whole story. Let's be very clear. Walking is good for your bones. It's much better than doing nothing at all. When you walk, every step sends a small impact through your feet, up your legs, into your hips and spine. That impact helps your body maintain basic bone density. It keeps the system from shutting down completely. But after 50, especially if you already have some bone loss, that kind of gentle, repetitive stress is often not enough to stimulate genuine rebuilding. Why? Because your bones respond best to two specific forces. Compression, the push of weight and gravity through your bones. Tension, the pull of your muscles tugging on your bones. Walking gives you a modest amount of compression, but the tension, the pull from your muscles is limited because walking doesn't ask your muscles to work very hard. You're not pushing against a heavy load. You're not resisting gravity with your arms. Your legs are moving, yes, but usually in a comfortable, familiar range. For bones, that's like background noise. To grow, they need a clearer signal. They need moments of, oh, we're being challenged, we should reinforce this area. That signal comes from resistance and impact that are safe, controlled, and appropriate for your body, not from endlessly adding more steps to your tracker. Muscles, the messengers your bones depend on. Here's a way to picture it. Your muscles are the voice. Your bones are the listeners. Every time a muscle contracts, it pulls through a tendon on the bone, like a rope tugging on a post. The stronger and more intentional the pull, the louder the message. Make this spot stronger. We're using it. When you do resistance exercises, things like squats, step-ups, push-ups against a counter, lifting a weight, or even a heavy grocery bag, your muscles tug firmly on your bones. That tugging is not harmful. It's the signal for adaptation. Your bones respond by laying down more mineral content and more of that beautiful inner scaffolding called trabecular, or spongy, bone. The tiny beams and struts that give your bones strength from the inside, especially in the hips, spine, and wrists. If those beams are thick, well-connected, and aligned with the forces of your daily life, you have resilient bone. You might still fall, but you're far less likely to break. If those beams are thin, brittle, or have quietly disappeared, a minor trip or twist can turn into a fracture. So when you think bone health, I want you to also think muscle health. Because you can't really separate them. Strong muscles tug on bones in a healthy way. Healthy bones anchor muscles with confidence. Weak muscles send almost no signal. And in the silence, your bones start to fade. The quiet battle inside your skeleton. Let's zoom in even closer, on the cellular level. Inside your bones at this moment, two types of cells are hard at work. The builders, laying down new bone. The breakers, removing old bone. In youth, these two teams are fairly balanced. You break down some, you build some, and your bones stay dense and strong. As you get older, especially after menopause for women, the breakers often get more aggressive while the builders get a bit sluggish. Hormonal changes, especially lower estrogen, tilt the scale toward loss. That's where millions of people are right now. The demolition team is winning quietly. You might have osteopenia or osteoporosis on a scan. You might not, but if you're over 50 and mostly relying on walking and sitting, the odds are high that the net tide is out, not in. The beautiful part is, you're not helpless here. You can't turn back time. You can't entirely rewrite your hormones, but you can send a message that wakes up the building crew. Every time you load a bone with a bit more intensity, a squat from a chair, a step up onto a stair, a resistance band row, a heel drop, you're essentially walking into that microscopic battle and saying, I still need this structure. Reinforce it. Your builders love that. They go to work. And while they may not completely erase years of loss, they can slow it, stabilize it, and in many cases improve your bone strength compared to where it would have been. That is a huge deal. That is the difference between a future where you are careful but free and one where your world shrinks around you because you're afraid of the floor. A quick pause and an important ask. Before we get practical and talk about what you can actually do at home, I want to ask you for one small favor that could make a big difference for you and for others. If you're over 50 and you care about staying strong, upright, and independent, if you appreciate learning the why behind these exercises, not just a random list of moves, take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel, True Senior Healthness, and turn on the notification bell. That one click tells YouTube, content for older adults that goes deeper than just walk actually matters. It helps this kind of information reach more people who are worried about their bones and tired of shallow advice. And for you, it means you'll keep getting clear, science-informed guides on how to protect your body, your joints, your balance, your muscles, your bones, in ways that are realistic and kind, not punishing. All right, let's get back to your skeleton. What your bones are quietly asking you for. So if walking is helpful but not enough, what is enough? Every body is different. Your history, your injuries, your medications, your current bone density, all of that matters. Always talk with your doctor or physical therapist if you've been diagnosed with osteoporosis or have had fractures. But in general, your bones are asking for three categories of movement: resistance, muscles pulling firmly on bone; impact or load, safe, vertical forces through the hips and spine; balance and control, so you don't fall in the first place. Let's translate that into real-life, at-home actions. You don't have to do all of these. You don't have to be perfect. But choosing even a few and doing them consistently can radically change the conversation between your muscles and your bones. Resistance, teaching your bones to pay attention. You don't need heavy barbells or fancy machines to create bone-strengthening tension. You just need to make your muscles work harder than they're used to, in a controlled way. Examples of at-home resistance that your bones love. Sit to stand squats from a chair. Instead of pushing up with your hands, scoot to the front of a sturdy chair, place your feet under your knees, lean slightly forward, and stand using your legs. Then slowly lower back down. That simple up and down motion loads your hips, thighs, and spine in a powerful way. Step-ups on a low step or stair. Holding onto a railing or counter, step one foot up onto a step, press through your heel, and bring the other foot up to meet it. Then step back down with control. This mimics climbing stairs and targets the femur and hip high-priority bones for fracture prevention. Wall or counter push-ups. Stand at arm's length from a wall or counter, place your hands on it, and bend your elbows to bring your chest toward the surface, then push away. This loads your wrists, arms, and shoulders and sends a nice clear signal to the bones in your arms and upper spine. Resistance band pulls and rows. If you have a simple exercise band, anchoring it and pulling it toward you engages the muscles between your shoulder blades. Those muscles tug on your upper spine and ribs areas that often weaken in osteoporosis. You don't have to do dozens of repetitions. In fact, for bone, a few sets of challenging reps done a few times per week can be more effective than endless light movement. The key words are challenging but safe. You should feel your muscles working more than they're used to without sharp pain or loss of control. Load and impact, talking directly to your skeleton. When most people hear impact, they think of running or jumping, which may not be appropriate, especially if you already have joint issues or significant bone loss. But there are gentler ways to give your bones that wake-up signal. Walking briskly instead of slowly, even for short bursts. Walking up a slight incline instead of always on flat surfaces. Doing small heel drops. Rising up on your toes and then letting your heels come back down with a bit more energy, only if your joints tolerate it. Carrying something slightly heavy like a grocery bag or a laundry basket for a short distance with good posture. You don't need huge impacts. Think of it as firm, respectful conversation with your bones, not shouting. If your doctor has cleared you for it, even a few minutes a day of slightly higher loading, more force through your legs and spine than gentle walking provides, can stimulate bone to adapt upward instead of downward. Balance. Protecting the bones you just worked so hard to build. Strong bones are wonderful, but if you fall, they still get tested. That's why balance training is the third piece of the puzzle. It doesn't build bone directly, but it protects it by reducing your risk of hitting the ground. Simple balance ideas you can weave into your day. Stand at your kitchen counter and practice shifting your weight from one leg to the other. Try standing on one leg while holding on lightly, then let go for just a second or two. Walk heel to toe along a hallway, using the wall for safety. Turn slowly in a circle, focusing your eyes on a fixed point, then relaxing them. These small challenges force your brain, inner ear, and muscles to coordinate more efficiently. The better your balance, the less likely a misstep turns into a hard fall, and the more your strengthened bones can just quietly do their job instead of being put to the test. But I'm starting late. Is it even worth it? Maybe you're thinking, I'm already in my 60 seconds. I already have osteopenia. I've been told I have osteoporosis. Isn't it too late? I want you to hear this clearly. It is not too late to make a difference. You might not return to the bone density you had at 30. That's okay. That's not the goal. The goal is to slow or stabilize further loss. Improve the quality of the bone you have. Build muscle and balance to protect that bone. Reduce your risk of fractures, especially in the hips and spine. Stay as independent and confident as possible for as long as possible. Studies consistently show that even in older adults, adding resistance and balance training can improve bone density, reduce falls, and improve quality of life. And beyond the numbers, there's something else that matters. When you lift your own body out of a chair, when you step up onto a curb with strength instead of fear, when you feel your posture gently lift and your stride become more confident, you're not just building bone, you're rebuilding your relationship with your body. You go from feeling fragile and at the mercy of age to feeling engaged, involved, and capable like a partner in your own health. How to start without overwhelming yourself. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need a color-coded calendar. You certainly do not need to become a gym person if that's never appealed to you. Here's a simple way to begin. Choose 2 resistance moves that feel doable. Maybe sit to stands and wall push-ups. Do them 2 or 3 times per week. Do 1 balance drill most days, even for 60 seconds. Keep walking, but see walking as your foundation, not your only tool. And if you've had fractures, been told you have severe osteoporosis, or are unsure what's safe, bring this concept to your doctor or physical therapist. I've learned that my bones respond to load and resistance. Can you help me find safe ways to do that? You're not being a difficult patient, you're being an informed one. Your skeleton is your story, and it's still being written. Every curve of your spine, every line of your pelvis, every strong or fragile spot in your skeleton tells a story. Some chapters were written by genetics, some by pregnancy, by sports, by injuries, by years of work, some by long hours at a desk, or years of caring for others but not yourself. But the story is not over. As long as you are alive, your bones are listening. To your steps, to your resistance, to your stillness, to your choices. You can't rewrite the beginning of the story. You don't need to. What matters now is the chapter you're in and the next one you're about to write. Maybe that next chapter includes a little more intention in how you move, a few simple, regular challenges to your muscles, a healthier conversation between your muscles and bones, and a future where you feel more solid, more upright, and less afraid of the floor. If this message touched something in you, if it made you think differently about your bones or about what's possible after 50, let me know in the comments. Tell me your age, where you're watching from, and one small action you're ready to take for your bones this week. Maybe it's, I'll practice standing up from my chair without using my hands. Maybe it's, I'll ask my doctor about resistance bands. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read to begin. And remember, your bones are not quietly giving up. They are quietly waiting for instructions. Through your movement, your effort, and your choices, you get to decide what they hear. I'm done. Or, I'm still here. I still move. Reinforce me. I'm not finished yet.